Hello, my name is Daniel, and this is the Engineering Success Podcast, episode 63. It's been a little minute. Sorry about that, guys. I actually have two other episodes that I've recorded, but as you guys know, episode 62, I changed my audio setup, and I did not change some of my audio filters back, so my audio kind of came out crummy. So one of the episodes I'm re-recording, which is this episode, and then the other one was an interview episode, which was awesome, with an awesome guest named Gina Covarrubias, who I am very excited to share that episode. I just have to stitch together my audio again, so it'll be okay. It'll be good, and you guys will like it. It'll be a good episode. But yeah, guys, sorry about that. It's been a little bit of a minute, but life is good here in Charlotte. Let me tell you about that after I tell you about our top tier supporters, John Ott and Leroy Jenkins. Thank you both for your support of the podcast. $10 a month gets you a shout out at the beginning of every episode, like John Ott and Leroy Jenkins. Really appreciate it. Lets me keep my website and my email addresses intact. So what's going on in our world? Well, baby E had an awesome first birthday. Really awesome. I have gotten into the swing of things at my new job. I'm picking things up. I'm really enjoying my job, my new coworkers, my new work environment, my commute. I actually commute to work via bike now, which is pretty awesome. It's either bike or bus. I have a bus pass. July's a hot month, so I think I'm gonna bus in July. But I bike, I bus. It's awesome. I really enjoy my new work environment, working in the city, which is fun. We're coming up on a major milestone, by the way, with the YouTube. According to my sources, we are at, as of June 29th, 2024, we are at 814 subscribers, which is pretty cool. Very exciting. I'm very pleased with that. So thank you guys for subscribing on YouTube and supporting the podcast. I really appreciate that. If you notice, I'm a little bit under the weather. I have a little bit of congestion. I took a decongestant, so hopefully that'll go away. But I'll be battling that a little bit during this episode, but I'll be fine. But yeah, life is good here in Charlotte. We're really enjoying ourselves and having a good time. All right, let's take a quick break, and we'll get into the next section of the podcast. All right, as always, guys, we're going to start off this episode with another bit of LinkedIn lunatics. So here we go. We're not the problem. The candidates are the problem. Darn work from home ingrates. 22 candidates interviewed, and not one of them was the right fit. My team just got started on an SDR search with a client who had interviewed 22 candidates, 0 hires. The biggest reason they passed on each of them, candidates were only asking about PTO and work from home policies. Job seekers, interviewers learn more about you from the questions you ask than any answer you give. It tells them what's important to you, and if you did any research or prep prior to your interview. Yes, interviewing is a two-way street, but your questions shouldn't solely focus on what's in it for you. Explain how you can add value and solve problems first, then uncover how they reward employees who do. P.S. Glassdoor, RepView, Comparably can probably tell you what the benefits, work from home policies, etc. look like if it's not in the job description. Yeah, they probably can, but it's not a bad idea to clarify those things. I think that those are reasonable questions to ask during an interview, so I don't fully agree with Kate here, but I do agree that you should be asking more than just that kind of question. I think you do need to demonstrate that you've looked into the company, looked into the role, and you can advocate for why you are a fit for that role whenever you're in a job interview. So if the only questions you ask are, can I work from home? Which wasn't in the job description. And how many weeks off do I get a year? Those are important things, but if that's the only question you have for me, and you don't, even if those are the only questions you have for me, maybe when I ask you as an interviewer, what questions do you have? You say, you really kind of covered everything. I really learned a lot about X and Y and Z. We didn't talk about the PTO, or I saw the PTO program online. Could you just confirm what that is for me? Yeah, I think that but you should ask certain questions, like say, hey, I have experience in this. What's my day-to-day interaction with these people? That's what I did whenever I was interviewing for a new job. I was like, okay, for me to, and I knew in my head that for me to do well in my role, I needed to have good relationships and good interactions with certain people within the company. So I asked the team that I was interviewing with, like, how often do you interact with so and so? How supportive are they? How do they? So there are, there has to be at least one question that you can ask that isn't just PTO, work from home. So I think that's somewhat of a valid gripe on that end. So not a full-on lunatic in my opinion, but I'm sure that the people of Reddit and the people that are graduating now that exclusively expect to be able to work from home for all jobs, they are going to think that that's a lunatic take. And maybe I will get canceled for saying that I don't think that it's really that good of an idea, especially if there's a office culture, take advantage of it. Go learn from your manager and from your teammates and develop those relationships, working hand in hand with people. If you have that, at least for a little while while you're getting sped up and trying to build the relationships you need to do your role well, why not go into the office and make those relationships? I know there's a bunch of reasons why people don't want to go in the office. People want to work from home for a bunch of reasons, but hey, call me weird. I like going in the office. Well, that was LinkedIn Lunatics. As always, we do one episode where we pick one post from LinkedIn and react to it and see what we think. And that was this week in LinkedIn Lunatics. Let's go on to the next section of our podcast, the college questions. Is taking 18 hours your first semester insane? Update post. All right. So before we read the update post, I'm going to say this. I don't think it's insane to take 18 hours first semester, but 18 hours is what we call a full load here in the U.S. It's you're full-on full-time student. I would never, ever recommend anybody take more than 18 credit hours. And what I'd say to you is if it's your first semester of college, you want to start off things on the right foot. You want to develop new habits. It's a new environment, new learning environment, probably a new learning style. You're going to have to learn how to study a little bit better. I would say that unless you are very, very confident, and even if you're very, very confident, because I was very confident. I mean, shoot, I graduated at the top of my class in high school, and then I got to college, and it rocked me. So I was super confident, and I am so grateful that I only took 15 hours. So just take 15, 16 hours your first semester of college. Don't push it. There's a lot of other things you want to get involved in. There's going to be clubs trying to get your attention, people that you're interested in trying to get your attention, and things on campus like sporting events around campus. It's just there's a lot of things coming at you whenever you go to college for the first time for your first semester. So why immediately jump in and take 18 credit hours? I'd say take 15 or so hours like this person has on their base schedule, and you'll be fine. So let's see what happened to them. They said, oh, they didn't even update the post. Yeah, so basically, I would say, yeah, don't take 18 hours first semester. Just take 15 hours, ease into it, and then based on how that goes, adjust your course schedule. Because some people, 18 hours isn't for them, and they, I mean, think about it. You have to take what? The rule of thumb is 3 hours outside of class for every hour in class. So, hey Siri, what's 18 times 4? All right. That's 72 hours. All right. Hey Siri, how many hours are in a week? 168 hours. Hey Siri, what's 168 minus 72? All right, 96 hours. Hey Siri, what's 96 divided by 7? 13.714.2. So that means that for the rest of your days of the week combined, on average, if you're going to get 18 hours of sleep, 8 hours of sleep at night, which is what you should get, which on average, you have 5 hours a day to do everything else, which may sound like a lot, but that's if you're being like critically and super efficient with your time studying. So no, I'd advise you not take 18 hours, especially your first semester of college. You want more than just 5 hours a day on average. And that's including if you don't take a full day off on like Saturday or Friday or Friday afternoon or Sunday. You're going to want some time to go get involved and go explore the new city that you're living in if you're in a new city for college, and make friends and do things and have some of the college experience. And no, don't take 18 hours your first semester whenever you don't really have your system set up around you yet. All right. Next question is, I'm an undergraduate and I'm about to enter Bachelor's of Mechanical Engineering. I assume that's what BME means, next year. Will I have to pull an all-nighter to study? I just graduated from high school, and in 3 months, I will enter my first college year in BME. I'm worried because I keep on seeing people pull all-nighters for tests, exams, and even homework. I'm wondering if I focus on all my courses and practice them when I get home, will I struggle as I see other people do? The answer is you may, or you may not. I'd say that if you're really diligent, I know people that never had to pull an all-nighter in college. These are people that treated, their college like a career. They were very diligent about their time management. They didn't work other jobs during school, and they were modestly involved in extracurriculars. But they treated their education like, hey, in, out. They clocked in at 8 a.m. in the morning. They started studying. They went to class. They studied until 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, even 10 p.m. at night, some nights. And then they checked out, went to bed at 10 o'clock every night. And that is the one way of doing it. That is not the way I did it. I was not as diligent as those people. I made it. I wasn't as diligent as those people were. I worked part-time jobs my last 2 years of college for my second half of my college career. I was involved in a fraternity. I was involved in like 3 or 4 different clubs. I did a stint on the campus news team because I liked the movie Anchorman. I just kind of was all over the place doing all these different kinds of things. And I pulled one all-nighter my freshman year. I pulled a handful of them my sophomore year, but that was just, I had a really long day on Wednesdays, and then on Thursdays I had no classes, hardly maybe one class, and I had a big difficult homework assignment due on Thursdays, so I just stayed up on Wednesday night until I finished that assignment. Many nights I went all night long, and then I took a big nap on Thursdays. I'm not saying that the way I did it is the right way to do it, and I don't recommend doing it this way to everybody. The point is will you have to pull an all-nighter to study? No. May you have to pull an all-nighter to study? I know plenty of people in my engineering program that didn't have to. I did. I did pull all-nighters, and that was just, I had fun with it. I leaned into it, and I have a lot of friends that did similar things, and it's fun with it. Is it fun? Is fun the right word to describe that? The point is, it depends. But if you work diligently and you work really hard to prevent it from being a thing, then it won't be a thing for you. But it may be a thing, but it shouldn't be a regular occurrence every single night. Like maybe you're seeing traumatized for you. With good discipline and habits and stuff, and learning how to really study effectively, then you shouldn't have to. All right, let's read the comments. Nope, anyone who needs to pull an all-nighter has bad study habits or is a procrastinator. Okay, call me out. You pull all-nighters when you skip all your homework until the last day, then you're up all night trying to get it submitted, or you can manage your time wisely. I work 40 hours a week and go half-time. I have a family. I've yet to pull an all-nighter, so don't worry. You'll be fine if you remain disciplined in your schoolwork. Yeah, that's about right. There were moments in my life that I was not disciplined, and I prioritized other things over staying ahead and on top of things. I didn't necessarily have to study all night for exams. And by the way, I never pulled an all-nighter studying for an exam. I never did that. I did have nights where I was, doing cost-benefit analysis, but I kind of figured out that 5 hours of sleep was the amount of sleep that I needed to be fully present in that exam mentally. So I wouldn't get less than 5 hours of sleep the night before an exam. I stay up until 2, 3 a.m. in the morning with my study group studying, and then I would check out around that time and get my 5 hours and be ready to go the next morning. I have other friends that pulled all-nighters studying for exams, and I'll say this, whenever you're studying late into the night, the marginal benefits that you get from that extra time spent studying go down. So yeah, you win some, you lose some, you get different mileage out of different strategies, but it's always said that being diligent, planning, studying in advance, recurring studying, that's always the formula for success. All right, next one is $130,000 in loans for an engineering degree from Colorado University Boulder worth it? Okay, I'm not even going to read the question, but if the alternative is no loans, then the answer is obviously no. But let's read the question. All right, my son is torn between the University of Colorado Boulder and Oregon State University. Oh, they want to go out of state. Okay. All right. For an environmental engineering degree. Thing is, he can get out of OSU with only about $14,000 in loans, whereas Boulder would be $130,000. Yes, Boulder is ranked much higher. Okay, rankings don't really matter that much, in my opinion. For environmental engineering, CUB is 9th versus OSU is 69th. Nice. But I've heard employers don't care as much about where you get your degree, unless it's MIT or similar. Yeah. And sometimes they care and then they run away. And then that the clubs and internships that you do are more important than the school. We can technically afford to pay the $130,000. We'd have to cash out investments, etc. But I told my son it'll just mean we have less to support him later in life, e.g., with a down payment on a house or with an inheritance. So either way, he's paying for it. Just a question of what is more worth it. Thoughts? So my parents did something for me that was really helpful for navigating the process of college choosing and college selection. They told me that basically the amount they'd support me with was what it would cost for me to go to my in-state school. So I could either go to my in-state school or I could find something that's comparable and then I'd foot the difference. So I found something that was comparable at Trinity University in San Antonio, cost-wise, and then it was even. And I was very blessed. I have a lot of privilege. My parents were able to pay for my college, and that is not something that everybody experiences. So I recognize that. But in this situation, I think that, a little bit more front-end communication, hindsight's 2020, but a little bit more front-end communication with your kid on what you'd pay for would have been helpful to this situation. But the answer is no. No, it's not worth it to go $130,000 to go out of state to Colorado University Boulder. I'd say go to University of Oregon State, go to your state school. It's probably a great program. You said it's ranked in the top 100 programs, and the rankings don't really even mean that much anyways. It's as long as there's a decent career field for environmental engineering in the Oregon region, which I believe that there is, then that's going to matter more than anything. And he what he does to get involved and network himself and market himself while he's in school will have much more of an impact on his ability to get a job after graduating than the college that he chooses. Just because you choose to go to a particular college doesn't mean that you automatically get handed jobs on a silver platter. I'd say that you can choose colleges that have small resources for placing students that don't have a large network and don't have large career fairs, don't have large alumni bases, and you can hamper your ability to get into the career field. It might be even harder for you to break in, but one school doesn't necessarily do all that for you. You still have to do the same amount of work. You still have to get decent grades. So no, it's not worth it to go to Colorado University Boulder for an extra $130,000. I'll tell you that. I'll tell you this is that whenever my kids are choosing colleges, if I am so privileged to be able to pay for their college, unless money becomes so far not an object for me, which I don't see myself being on that trajectory anytime soon, they're going to be told the same thing. We can pay for this much. And then hopefully the lessons we've taught them about money and all that other stuff will help them make the right decision for themselves. And I think that in the grand scheme of things, this parent, they're asking this question because they're trying to help their child make the right choice, which the right choice is not to go to Colorado University Boulder. Student loans, sit him down with a financial planner and tell him how much money that is per month and what his payment options would look like to pay off those student loans. Talk him through the financial impact of that and what the alternative value of that money is if he was just investing it, compounding. Show him the gap. Your son wants to go to engineering school. He's probably pretty intelligent. Show him the math. Show him how it impacts his life, his stability in life. There's just so many reasons why. He's smart enough. You can kind of help him make the right decision for himself. But in hindsight, maybe, setting that expectation earlier on would have helped. So Top comment is no. How is that even a question? No, no, no. So everybody agrees with me. I'd say don't chase rankings for schools in general unless you have the luxury to do so, which it sounds like you guys really don't, and he doesn't either. So don't do that. All right. Next question is, what am I expected to know entering my first year of engineering school? Hey, I'm getting ready for my first year engineering, which at the university I'm attending is general, meaning it's not specified as mechanical engineering or electrical or whatever. Throughout my teenage years, I did a ton of math and physics on my own time, but I've not done a lot of hands-on design stuff. That's okay. Do they expect me to know how to use programs such as CAD? And should I generally understand the ins and outs of engineering? Or do they assume I have never touched a computer in my life? I just want to see how to best approach my first year and see if there's anything I can do this summer to prepare. What they expect is you've taken the prerequisite courses at your, most people, public high school that are required for you to be admitted to their program. So some people, it's just through pre-cal. Most people don't have intro to engineering courses at their school, and computer science is not mandatory. So they don't expect you to have taken any of those things. Their programs are designed to take you from square one, interest in engineering, basic pre-cal, maybe you took physics in high school, that level, maybe even took an intro chemistry class, maybe not. But they based on your state's public education requirements, the minimum that allows you to get into your engineering program, that is where they're starting from. So no, they don't expect you to know how to do basic engineering. Now, would it be fun for you to maybe learn what CAD program they teach and then maybe download a education copy as soon as you get your student email address? Yeah, maybe that'll be fun. Are you required to do that? No, just have fun. Enjoy your last summer, because if you're following the Daniel Dollinger plan to graduate with a job offer, the next 4 summers are going to be spent working towards graduating with a job offer in hand. So enjoy the last summer, spend some time with your friends, come into your freshman year of college excited, refreshed, and ready to learn. That is the biggest thing you can do. If you really want to mess around, then you're like my brother who wanted to teach himself how to CAD. Maybe download a copy of Fusion 360 and go watch some YouTube videos on it. But do not do it that diligently. You don't need to be that diligent about it. You really don't. So, yeah, they don't expect you to know much more than they already know that you're supposed to know. So enjoy your last summer before college. And the top comment is just enjoy your summer, man. Yeah, so just, man, Maddie could be a man or woman. Just enjoy your summer, man or woman, or however you want to be referred to. Just enjoy your summer. Have a good time. Come into your first semester of college refreshed. Looks like we made it to the career questions. So I'm going to take a little bit of a breather and we'll come right back. All right, and we are back with the career questions. The first one is, any fields in electrical engineering that require a diverse resume, or EEE? I assume that's electrical engineering, but let's read the question. I'm not sure if I screwed up, as I didn't specialize in a specific field when I did my internships. So far, I've done 3 internships. Very nice. 1, construction company as electrical engineering intern, work as a subconstructor for a semiconductor company to build a piping system. 2, research engineering intern, where I did a MATLAB simulation and hardware testing related to machine maintenance and DSP. What is DSP? DSP, electrical engineering. Digital signal processing. Duh, I'm dumb. Okay, just you can tell I wasn't an electrical engineer. All right, and 3, currently at a semiconductor company doing process development engineering. I was wondering if these 3 internships could add up to any potential future job roles. For reference, my specialization that I currently take in my EEE, I guess electrical engineering electronics degree, is also under computing and intelligent systems, which makes it even more confusing. Thank you. No company expects you to specialize during your internships. No company even expects you to specialize when you first start working for them, really. I mean, you just get put into a role and then you learn, and some companies have rotational programs to move you around their company. Some companies are general engineering consulting companies. You're kind of a jack of all trades. And then maybe if you get a master's degree, then we'd expect you to be specialized in a field. But no company expects you to come in specialized. That's a ridiculous thing to fear, in my opinion. So you're fine. And I'd just say that you have a really awesome array of three different types of internships. And what I'd ask you is, what do you enjoy most? Construction, research, or working for a company? That's three really awesome, diverse experiences. I think the biggest thing that you can take away from it is, what kind of environment did you enjoy working in most? What kind of environment is most compatible with your desired lifestyle and your life progression? Do you like the fast pace and traveling nature of construction? Do you like the academic nature of research? Do you like the corporate relationships that you have to develop and navigate at a semiconductor company? That's the biggest thing. And then now you have this awesome bevy of experiences that you can leverage into whatever you want to do. I think you are an awesome candidate. You have a great resume. Don't worry about specializing during your internship. You did not need to specialize. You're going to be fine. You're going to be okay. Let's read the comments. Yes, top comment is, there's no need to specialize. In my day, electrical engineering degrees had no specializations. 2 courses in one thing or another don't make you an expert or lock you into it. And that's true. So, yeah, you're fine. You don't need to specialize. You're okay. It's going to be fine. You have a great resume. Keep on taking that attitude towards trying to be the best version of yourself and building your career, and you have some good things coming your way. Next question is, any advice for a fresh graduate engineer? I'm starting work this Monday as an entry-level graduate H&H engineer after taking a 4-month break since graduating. I hear people say that life is going to get harder from here on out and that I will constantly be on my toes when it comes to projects and its deadlines. Do you have any advice for me as a new fresh graduate engineer that's just starting out? Yeah, I do have some advice for you as a new fresh graduate engineer that's starting out. 1, figure out how you're going to take notes. I use OneNote. Take good notes. When people say things to you, listen, pay attention. And if you don't understand something, ask questions. You're a new graduate engineer. They don't expect you to understand things. Don't pretend that you understand something that you don't understand. Just ask a question. And then once you get the answer, write it down, commit it to memory. And if you still don't understand, ask follow-up questions. I'd much rather hear a new graduate engineer ask a bunch of good questions and then learn something than come back to me later and say, hey, I wasn't paying attention. I don't know what you're talking about. Or ask the same question over and over again. The other thing to say is, life is going to get harder from here on out. It kind of just depends on your company, your work culture, and your work environment. But personally, my life got a lot better when I graduated from college. I had disposable income. I got to work towards my financial goals. I got to take my evenings off. Life got better for me when I graduated from college, and life should get better for you as well. So I don't know why those people are trying to scare you, but no, life does not get worse after you graduate. I mean, you miss aspects of college, but life doesn't get worse. Life just gets to grow in different ways. And other advice I'd have for you is, show up on time, take care of your appearance, build relationships, just do everything you can to be a good professional. I know that sounds cliche, but building professional relationships, building bridges, not burning them, will do a lot of things for you in life. First impressions matter. First impressions mean a lot. First impressions carry a lot of weight, and they last a long time. And I'm still currently networking with somebody that I worked with in my first 2 months on my first job. And now I'm referring them to my new employer because they're looking for a job and they need a job. So it's just one of those things where the relationships that you build early on in your career, you don't realize in the moment that, because you just met these people, you don't realize that they matter, but they're relationships and impressions that last a long time. People remember first impressions. It's really hard to overcome a first impression. So work really hard and be dedicated to building those relationships. So I'm not going to go on a long rant there on different advice for you, but take good notes, pay attention, and build relationships. Be a professional. That first impressions matter. All right. 2 more questions. Next one is, drug testing for engineers at utilities. Yes, they drug test. That's the answer to the question. All right, let's read the question. Apologies if this doesn't belong here. I'm wondering if anyone has experience with working for a utility company as an electrical engineer. I've been trying to work for one, and I know that they do pre-employment tests, but I'm unsure if they test for marijuana and if they randomly test after that. If most do randomly test, is there a way that it usually works too? No, it's random. I haven't smoked in at least 6 months, but I'm wondering if I'll ever be able to in this type of role. No, you won't. All right, first of all, is smoking weed, which is a reason for getting fired, is that worth your career? No, it's not worth it. Your livelihood, your career is worth a lot more than getting high off of weed. No, this is somebody that doesn't smoke weed saying this, so maybe I can't relate to people that need it as part of their lifestyle, but no, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Yes, they do drug test, and it's random drug testing is for the most part random, though I will tell you this, that maybe it's confirmation bias, but I personally have noticed whenever I come back from the West Coast or when I come back from vacation or when I get a promotion, those are the times that I have observed that my random drug tests have happened more frequently. And this is me working for an EPC. Another thing I've observed is if there's an incident, usually then it's not even random drug testing. It's actually, incident related drug testing that they'll do. If there's an event, something, a recordable incident that happens, then they'll probably drug test everybody as well. But yeah, dude, or dudette, or it's Matthew Big Poppy. Dude, Matthew, I'd say this. Just don't smoke. I mean, it's not worth it. I know plenty of people that smoked a lot in college and now they don't because it's not worth it. And it's not worth it. So yes, and utility companies, as are most companies, they do drug testing, especially because there's probably their contracts that they have with other companies require it. Their policies require it. In fact, you could even read the policy. It may not be public, but once you start working there, you can read the policy, the drug screening policy, and the contracts they have with other people require them to be compliant with drug testing requirements. I worked for a consulting company, and when we signed contracts, we had to send copies of our pre-employment screening and our drug screening and our OSHA policies. So, yeah, I say this to say, yes, they drug test, and you should be aware. All right, guys, and last question is experience of people working in large EPC firms, which, hey, I did that for 5 years. So let's read the question. Since the beginning of the year, I'm working in a large EPC, having worked before in operations. I am really surprised with the amount of irregularities there are in aspects of all the projects, the definition of the scope, the changes in the design constantly, the contracts, not to mention the costs, the project managers, and how inefficient in general all the resources are used. I find it really hard to believe how they manage to build chemical plants with such disorganization. I've only participated until now in feed phases. I'd like to know if anyone has similar experience. Is it normal because I'm relatively new, or is it like this in every single firm? Yes, it's normal because you're relatively new, and yes, it's like this in every single firm. That's my response. Again, I worked at an EPC for 5 years. I worked on a mega LNG gas plant facility for construction during the EPC phase, from after feed through parts of detail engineering and the first couple years of the construction of the facility. And I can tell you, yes, that is like that. And I'll tell you the reason why these EPC firms exist and have been able to exist for so long is because they manage that change, the change in definition of scope. They get change orders for it, the changes in design. They make sure that either they've allowed contingencies for design, we call them design allowances, so contingencies for changes in design, or if they're directed by the client, then they recover the costs from that effectively from the client. The contracts, they write good contracts. They have contracts that allow them to manage change. There's a lot of contracts. And then whenever the contract doesn't go their way, they have good attorneys that, yes, the contract wasn't perfect, but they have contracting philosophies that whenever this inevitably goes to a lawsuit, the EPC will be able to recover their costs. And yes, the resources are inefficient, but it's a balance between resource usage, optimization, and time, right? So that's just how it works. Sometimes it is just much more cost effective to get a plant built an extra few weeks sooner because these plants are printing money once they're completed. So it's a cost benefit analysis per se on the cost. So there's a lot of reasons why that you're experiencing what you're experiencing. I'd also say that these EPCs also have systems in place that at every level of the organization, it feels like crazy, super critical things are happening. and everything's a big deal and everybody has to do something about it. And because you feel like everything's a big deal and you have to do something about it, you contribute to the overall project. You contribute to driving the capture of those costs, those changes, because maybe something may seem like a really big deal to you is not a big deal to the PM running the overall project, because I know that the processes are in place with people like you to manage those changes, identify those changes, quantify them. There's so many moving pieces in these projects. You got the procurement of large pieces of equipment. You have people managing those contracts as well. I mean, there's so many moving pieces that, yes, there's a lot of changes. I might have ticked off my cat. But yeah, there's a lot of changes at every level in the project, but there's processes in place that are designed to catch those things. So yes, it's like that. So I'll read the top comment. Is mine. I've worked for an EPC for 5 years. I contend that yes, there are a lot of irregularities, but every project has irregularities. Things are just too massive and complicated to go smoothly, and there's way too moving pieces to make things go perfect. I contend that what makes a successful EPC is how effective they are at both identifying and managing these irregularities. I've also noticed that things may seem like a big deal on the micro level, aren't a big deal on the macro level. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, so that's basically what I said. Another person said, I used to work at a small EPC and I've also worked on the other side as a customer where I've spent most of my time. One thing to mention is EPCs not only have to manage their internal BS, they also have to manage the outcomes of customer BS too. This is how scope changes last minute because some higher up or auxiliary department who was half asleep during most of the meetings or even through all of feed or ignored half the project emails finally wakes up and actually reads stuff when the dates for committing and paying bills comes due. I'm managing a large project and hired an EPC early on. Oh, I can very much relate to the executives falling asleep at the wheel, and when the time comes, they make some emotionally driven decision and completely uproot the scope of work. And man, I've learned so many valuable lessons about stakeholder management in this project. I'm glad our EPC team is flexible. 2 phrases, each with 2 words, freeze date and change orders. Yeah. So it's the same everywhere. There's a lot of changes, and that's just how it works. So all right, well, that's how this episode of the Engineering Success Podcast works. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, leave a comment down below telling me so. If you have questions, leave them down below or shoot me an email at daniel@engringsuccess.com. Visit my website, leave me a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. I'll read it on the show. And subscribe on YouTube. It really helps me out, and it costs you nothing. So, really appreciate you guys. Catch you guys in the next episode of the podcast where I will have gone through and re-recorded some really cool audio for a really cool interview. All right. Catch you guys in the next one. See you later. Peace.
I'm miscommunicating. I just made a pilot, then they threw me on the stations. Nah, I'm not complaining. My thoughts get complicated. I cannot explain in lameness. Never losing focus because I ain't chasing payments. Still playing in the basement while I'm working on arrangements. They heard the kid in 50 countries. Thank God that's amazing. But I'd rather thank Spotify. They put me on the station.